This is a tutorial on how to sequence on the ASR10 and also how to get samples in there to use on your sequences. To start, you're going to want to make sure that you have a source input connected into your ASR10, such as a CD player or computer or whatever you're going to sample from, a stereo. I have a CD player plugged into the input, and then for the output, that just goes into your stereo system or to your mixer. So to start, you want to check and make sure that you have everything connected. So you can hit play on your CD player, and then notice that you'll see the indicator lights moving, showing that there's input coming into the system. And you could adjust on the back there's a switch to adjust the level of the signal. And you want to adjust the level of signal so you just get a little bit of red in there. So to actually listen to what's going through the system, if you hit this button here, source monitor, it'll actually monitor the signal that's coming in this case the CD player. So if I hit this, it's actually monitoring that signal. So I'm going to stop this. So the first thing we need to do is create a sample, record a sample into the system. So I already have a CD queued up back here, which I'm going to start off, and I'm going to record in sequence a kick, hi-hat sound, and then a snare drum sound. And then after that, I'm going to create a bass multi-sample. So to get started, let's go into samples. So you go to source monitor to monitor your source. Hit sample. It asks you which source do you want to use, left input or right input or stereo. I'm using left input. So I hit enter. Pick a sample instrument. Pick an instrument in which you want to save the sample to. In this case, I'm going to pick 1. Wave sample select. New means it's going to create a new wave sample. We're not going to get too far into the details of wave sample layers and all that other jazz. We're just going to create a quick sequence. So we hit new, so we hit enter. Now it's monitoring the actual signal coming through. It's showing you your level. So I'm going to hit stop on the CD player. Hit enter to start sampling. Now it says it's waiting for the sample to start. As soon as I hit play on the CD player, it's going to start recording, and then I'm going to hit stop. So I'm going to hit play and then stop. So I hit enter, and that enter stops the recording of the sound. So now it's asking you where do you want to place the sample on the keys. So I'm going to hit C. So now we have the sample recorded under the C note. And it's automatically multi-sampled across the, or pitched up across the keyboard. Okay, now that this sample is recorded here, I'm going to go and record a kick sound, open hi-hat sound. So I go back to sample, input dry, left, pick sample instrument, same instrument, new layer, enter. It's waiting. Now I hit the key that I want to record this to. So now I recorded the hi-hat here. But notice it has the kick sound also in there with the hi-hat. So I want to get rid of that. So I hit edit, wave, hit the arrow keys until you get to the start of the sample sound. Now hit the note and adjust until you get to just what you need. Sample end. It's at the end of the sample. I use the sliders usually. Now I have a hi-hat sound. Okay, now let's go and sample the clap or the snare. So go into sample source, input source left, sample instrument, 1 again, new wave sample, enter. Now it's waiting. Enter to stop, hit stop on the CD player. hit the note that I want to save this on. Okay, now this has a kick, a hi-hat, and the snare in there, so we just want to get down to the snare and this new sound. So edit, wave sample 4, that's the last one we did. If you don't know which wave sample you recorded, you can always hit the note and it'll automatically switch to the wave sample you want to record on. So I want to hit this note for the snare. Edit, wave, hit the arrows keys until you get to the start sample, and then roll through it until you get to the snare part. Okay, there's the start of the snare. And then also want to hit the end of the sample to stop at the end. So use the sliders, and I just slide all the way down, up a little bit. And there you go. So now the kick. Oh, the kick has extra sounds in there too. So we'll take out the extra sounds in the kick. Edit, wave, sample end. Okay, now it's stopped right at the end of the sample. So the kick, the snare, and then the hi-hat. There's another thing I want to show you, and that's actually editing filters. So for this snare, it has the kick sound in there too that was recorded also. So we want to get rid of that. So you hit edit, filters, and this shows you that the first filter it's running is a low pass filter. Second one is a low pass filter too. So if you hit the up arrow, it'll switch between, or down arrow, it switches between the different filter types. So now this is a low pass and then a high pass filter. It already has the cutoff set. So then we want to move the cutoff down a little bit to get more of the highs in there. That's hitting the note. So you could use the sliders too. Okay, so now there's a whole kit that's sampled. Kick, snare, hi-hat. Let's also run that filter on the hi-hat too. Okay, so now for the next sample, let's sample a bass, and let's have this pitched across all the keys. So hit sample, input source, it's going to be left again, enter, sample instrument. Let's go ahead and pick 3. The lights show you what instruments are being used right now. 1 is being used, 2 is being used, and 3 is blank. So I'm going to hit 3. And I'm going to cue up the CD to the bass sound that I'm going to use. This is a who is this? A Green Velvet CD that I'm using. Shouldn't bootleg, but I'm just doing this for the example. So I'm going to sample this bass sound. So I hit enter. It's waiting for the sound. Play the sound. Enter to stop recording. Hit root key. So I'll hit this key. Now the sound is sampled here. And it's automatically multi-sampled across all the different keys. So now that this this is sampled, but this also has extra tones in there that we want to get rid of as well. So we want to edit this sound on this instrument, wave, set the change sample in to just have that first note. Okay, so now that all the sounds are sampled, the bass will be on instrument 3. The kicks, hats, and snares are on instrument 1. So in order to start recording a sequence, we're going to move on to the sequence now. You hit the record key, and that'll put you into sequence mode. Should put you in sequence mode. Okay, I hit record and play at the same time, and then that pulled me into sequence mode. Interesting. Okay, so once you're in sequence mode, you can hit the right arrow until you get to the menu for the tempo, and we'll set the tempo using the slider up to, let's say, 140, 134, or whatever. Loop on means that it'll loop when it gets to the end of the number of set bars. Since this is the first sequence, there is no number of set bars. So hit record, play, and then I'm going to just pound out a groove here. The track, I hit enter at the end of the tracks, and now it's asking if you want to keep the track. It's counted off 5 bars because I played a little extra after the end of the sequence. So we'll hit enter to keep the track. Now we have a track that's 5 bars. Naturally, we want to change this down to 4 bars, or 8 or whatever. So I'm going to change this down to 4 bars. So I hit Command, Sequence, use the arrow keys until we get to something that looks good here. Change sequence length. Enter. Delete 1 bar at 5. So that's right. It's going to delete 1 bar at the 5th measure. So hit enter. Enter. Enter a few times, and it says command completed. So now the sequence is 4 bars. So I hit play. Okay. In order to quantize on the ASR10, it's not automatic like the MPC or other systems. You have to actually force the quantize per track. So I'll hit Command, Track, and it automatically defaulted the quantize track menu. If it's not on that, you just use the up arrows to find it. Enter, quantize track, track 1, quantize 2, quarter note, 8th note, 16th note. Everybody uses 16th notes. Enter. Range the entire track. Now it's asking if you want to keep the old or keep the new. So you can hit play, and it'll play the new, or you can use the arrow on old and hear what the old sounds like. Naturally, you want to keep the new. So I hit enter on new. Now it's created a quantized 4 measure bar. So now I'm going to add the rest of the sounds for the drum track. So I hit stop, record, play. Oops, stop. What happened there was I did not have this set to replace. I have this set to replace mode rather than add mode for recording, so it actually deleted the first bar that I recorded. So the good thing is the ASR10 asks you if you want to keep the old or keep the new after every action that you pretty much do. So I'm going to say go back to the old. Going to go over to arrow over to the record mode and set that to add. Source clock, record, move click volume, sequence record mode replace. So this will be set to add. So now it's set to add. I can record the second part of this track. keep new. So we'll add the obligatory snare. So now that track 1's recorded, which is this groove, the drum track, and go over to start recording a different track. Tracks are actually aligned with instruments, which makes it pretty easy. So now I can go over to track 3, which has my bass sound, and record a bass. So record, play. You don't have to set add mode for this track. Add mode's automatically across for all the tracks. That's a global setting. So record, play. So I'm going to say keep the new. It automatically looped again. Keep new. So now we have a complete track. Not a complete track, but a complete loop. Let's go ahead and add a delay to this bass. A little quick intro, I guess, to effects here. So we'll go to effects, turn the effects on, and just pick a delay effect. So 44 kilohertz delays. So I pick that. I'm going to go and actually turn off the delay for all the other tracks that I'm not using. So on track 1, the kicks, the snares, and the hats, the drum kit, I'm going to go to Edit, Amplifier, Edit. You have to make sure you select wave all. Edit, wave sample, and then all. Amplifier. Send the amplifier to output bus 3. All the effects, most of the effects have 3 output buses. I'm not going to go too deep into that. I'm just going to turn the effects on here. So I turn them off on this, and on the bass, they're going to output bus 1, which is the long delay or whatever. So let's play this and see what it sounds like. And that's it for recording a sequence and sampling on ASR10. Hopefully you learned something from it. I learned something from it too, because this is working a little funny. Thank you.